good. I'm glad to know. Okay, let's see. Let me share my screen again. Let me get it.
Wonderful. Again, we have Karen Tinsley-Kim. She has kindly joined us today. She is going to be sharing with us her subject matter of expertise using AI to generate captions and transcripts, the required human element to polish our ADA compliant gems. And I told them I was so tickled that you put gems in your title. So thank you so much and take it away.
Oh, it says host disabled participant screen sharing. Help me out, Sue. Don't know what happened there.
Oh, when you left, you must have left co-host.
I guess
All
so.
right, you're back there.
Awesome. Okay. I think we're making progress. Okay. Now can you see my slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic. Okay. And I apologize in advance. I've got multiple screens, and so I'm just going to use what I've got here in front of me. And so I'll be looking away, but that doesn't mean I don't care. And Sue has told me she'll do her best to monitor chat, and I welcome your comments anytime as we go along. Toward the end, there will be an opportunity for us to do a little sharing and collaborating. So hang in there, so if you're kind of have some burning questions, there should be a good amount of time for us to do that. So, and again, I apologize for such a long title. Yeah, I was trying to, go with the theme of the gems. And so what I'm hoping to share with you today is kind of what I do a lot of while I work here at CDL at UCF, helping with our Student Accessibility Services Office to support especially our fully online courses, but other versions that we have as well, of getting our students, especially those who have deaf, hard of hearing needs, or you'll often hear me say DHH, that's what I'm referring to, deaf, hard of hearing. When they have those needs, we need to collaborate very closely with our Student Accessibility Services Office, excuse me, to make sure we're in, getting everything in good order so that as soon as those students encounter that content, multimedia content of whatever form it may be, that it is as compliant and, supported as possible. At the same time, their classmates are getting that information. So I've continued to learn a lot. This is a very dynamic area where things are just kind of the Wild West in some ways. So maybe you've had that feeling as well. You might make a note in the chat if you kind of felt a little overwhelmed or frustrated by the complexity that this type of support often will demand. But I'm hoping we have an opportunity to have some good tools to come away with and some perspectives and ways to address this in a way that we can come away going, maybe it's not so bad, and we can actually come out with those gems that we're proud of. And I'll just note that my title is an instructional technology specialist. I've also gone by the title of an instructional development specialist. So I'm not an instructional designer per se. I'm not considered faculty at UCF, although I do have a past teaching career. The elements, I don't really engage with faculty directly all that much, occasionally on email if we need to find something out further about their course. I'm on a very awesome team called the Instructional Development Team, better known as IDEV. And so I think just maybe having that little bit of background, hopefully it'll ease your understanding of what I do and how I'm not really, I love our instructional designers. I work with them all the time. But I'm not technically one. So anyway, just to clarify that a little bit. So they let me into these TOPkit things, for better or for worse, right? So, all right, well, let's move on. I see if I can get my slide to advance. There we go. And I apparently am still connected. Yay. I just wanted to share briefly, the mission that we have here at UCF. And you'll see that I've underscored enriching the human experience. And I take that part very much to heart for this part of my job, that I very much want to take what could be considered a mechanical or machine process, and get some human eyes on it, because this is delivered to human students. So big passion of mine. All right, there we go. So captions and subtitles and transcripts, AI, right? And truly, AI is where it has started for quite some time now, for several years, and it will continue to go. But just for fun, we're all struggling with this tough economy, and maybe you've thought about looking for a little side gig or something to kind of, help things ease a little better on the wallet. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if possibly you've looked into working as a transcriptionist. And I just wanted to let those of us that are in education and do a lot of writing, it's actually probably not a bad fit, because what are they looking for? They're really looking for editors. I've got a post here, I think it's from Verbit, right? And they're basically talking about all the things they want you to do, but they're going to run it through their AI. I forget where the other one at the top is, but they, even have, I know it's really, really tiny type, but it says we are looking for contract transcriptionists / editors to transcribe recorded audio and edit imperfect transcription, blah, 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 using our proprietary internet-based software application. AI, maybe, maybe not, but it's machine generated. And whether it's an official AI that's running it or something else that just, transcribes, it's the way things are done. And yet it's a start. Okay, I'll absolutely grant that. And these little instant turnaround transcriptions, like we're even generating right now, or I'm generating right now in Zoom, not a bad thing, but we need to, I think, keep a really healthy perspective. And so if you're looking for an editing job, that might be something to look into. And just again, just to kind of give a reference of, when I'm talking about different things, what I'm referencing. Other people may use different terminology, but that's kind of how I'm going to run this presentation. So captions and transcripts and subtitles. Oh my, right? There is a difference. Captions we're all probably quite familiar with. We see it on television. We see them, potentially you've got them turned on right now as we're going through this Zoom presentation. And so they are time synchronized, right? You'll have these little selections of text that show up on the screen and, allow you to read instead of hear the dialogue. Transcripts, very often used for video and audio, particularly, these days podcasts are very, very popular. And what other way are you going to get another format for audio than a transcript? And lyrics and all of that. Essentially, those are, a lyric sheet, that's essentially a transcript in most cases. And it may be listed with the timing, or it may not. I prefer, at least if it's going to be a transcript, that it not have the timing, just because, in my opinion, a transcript is designed to be read, not designed to be, studied for the timing. So I find the timing markers a little annoying if they happen to be there, but sometimes that happens, as I have the example on the screen that might be there. And then subtitles. Anybody want to make a guess what language? I know a few of you definitely know. But anyone want to make a guess what language this, as they approach Sleepy Lagoon, has been translated into? And I don't see the chat, so Sue, you'll have to tell me if somebody answers that.
Korean.
It is Korean. Congratulations. So, and I usually, back in my teaching days, I would explain that Kim is not my first name, it's my married name, and they needed to take that into consideration and call me Mrs. Kim if they were going to use that part of my name. But anyway, so I've got a special place in my heart for the Korean language. I'm not real great at it though. So if you speak Korean well, you're ahead of me. All right, so let's consider some other things here. Considering these unpolished corners of what I like to kind of play with is that AI could also represent automatically inadequate caption production. And I would kind of encourage us to have that in mind, that if we are using AI, it is automatically inadequate because we haven't had human review yet. But let's take a look at what the machine actually does deliver for us. Right, so we're definitely familiar, I'm sure everybody, with YouTube's offerings. And I've got a little screenshot there of the a little part of actually their transcript. Connects with their captions. But what's missing in that image? Does anybody kind of anything stand out? And feel free to let me know in the chat if there's, or Sue could let me know if there's something in the chat.
A few of us
Yeah,
put in
so
the chat punctuation.
Yep, definitely punctuation, right? It's just this word stream, right? And so, and why, that has not improved much on the YouTube side mystifies me a little bit, but they've definitely been very powerful, even starting several years ago with being able to offer these automatic captions. But, right, just looking at that, doesn't it kind of make your head spin? You're like, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to stop. It's not in good reading order. Now, again, other transcription tools such as Zoom that we're using right now and Whisper AI, and plenty of others, as I have here on the slide, they're much better. Many of them will add punctuation and capitalization. Occasionally, they will, depending on the tool, be able to acknowledge different speakers. But on average, it's approximately 90, maybe if you're doing really well, 95% accurate. But ADA compliance, many people go, well, what percentage is that supposed to be? Well, I would say, you want to be approaching 100% as best as humanly possible. But are we ever going to reach 100%? No, because, as we'll get to it, humans, right, we interpret things. So I may say it's 100% accessible, and the other person next to me may go, well, that's just not how you spell that word, right? So it is no longer 100% accessible. So it's a little bit debatable, but we want to be striving for that, as close to 100% as we can get it. Because what are we doing? Machine production, right, for human consumption just is not good enough. It's a headache. All right, so here are a few types of transcription AI. Many of these you may have heard of. Clipchamp is one that it's kind of the new kid on the block here at UCF, and it's, I gather at some point, hopefully not too far future, will be officially integrated with our Microsoft offerings at UCF. And personally, it's not bad. I have some challenges with it for the editing. I've had some it's like, and maybe it'll just get better. That's my hope, is that it will be an easier tool. Whoops, and I am losing, I clicked the link by accident. Okay, so let me go back into, if I can, figure out how to share my screen. Well, maybe I'll just make this bigger. Continue that way. All right. Okay, and I'm still connected, right? Okay. All right, let's try the next one. Okay, Adobe Premiere Pro. Now, kind of going upscaling here. Access to this tool very often would probably be through your institution. I know here at UCF, our faculty do have access to it. And I'll be honest, I have not even come close to mastering this tool at all. It's on my list of to-dos. In fact, we've got our hack day week this week, and that was what I had put on my to-do list if I had the time. So, but the great thing about Adobe Premiere Pro, from what I understand, is you can really just caption any length, anytime. It's apparently got the whole menu of what you can do. All right, and then we're all familiar with YouTube, and I will share my slides, and so you'll be able to get those links in the not too far future. And then I'll finish this little intro here with my favorite, which is Otter AI. I don't know how many of you maybe have used it or had access to it. You can use it for free initially. It does have some limitations if you use it a lot. So, but it's actually really great. My favorite thing about it is it will identify different speakers. So if you have some kind of an interview or situation where you've got more than one speaker, I think Otter generally does a very nice job distinguishing between those voices, and the transcription is usually quite sharp. So the editing time, right, is not as long. So, and I get this question all the time. Doesn't AI solve time and money challenges? Yes and no, right? And I just, it's one of those answers. It's like, the answer to this question, but we all kind of hope there's something better. But the truth of the matter is, one way or the other, you will pay. It's either going to be time or it's going to be money, and probably both in most cases. So human transcription averages for most of us about 5 minutes per 1 minute of dialogue if we were just going to do straight transcription. Editing could be a little faster and cut off a minute or two. But again, if you're an editor like me and you're a perfectionist, it still might be around 5 minutes. But most of all, when time, accuracy, and compliance are really important, it may be more efficient to hire human-reviewed transcription services. And there's a big variety of them. I don't get into it in this presentation, but it's something to be getting familiar with. All right, so let's think about some ways that we can build our human and AI editorial proficiency so that we have more of this collaboration of effort as opposed to leaning on one side or the other. So my recommendation is getting AI to help you is awesome for first drafts and only first drafts. So depending on the tool you're using, you may be able to, give the prompt to remove fillers such as I'm very notorious for and repeated words, etc. So you can add those prompts depending on the tool how you would do that, but to filter some of those things out that would help your editing process. And then those automatic generated captions and transcripts generally will need to have this added to it. And I've got a link here for transcript tips that goes to the ADA compliance group. And again, if you happen to pick up the bit.ly link at the beginning, and I'm not sure if that got shown well enough or not, but that will link you to these slides, and you can click on these links, and I'll definitely share that at the end. But you'll notice I have some general suggestions here that your speaker and sound identification, most likely with brackets or parentheses to identify things that the AI is probably not going to pick up on. Most AI, YouTube, I'm starting to see more of it where, we'll say, oh, music, right? And but it probably will not identify if somebody's laughing or crying or whatever other sound the human may be making. So, and definitely the name identification for the speakers are really helpful and important. When we're looking at transcripts especially, we really want to format that text to be readable as a document, and that link will take you to a little sample of a guide that I use for cast, which I will talk a little bit more about in a moment. And one of the other things I really like about transcripts, especially for those of us that maybe have aspirations of publicizing our work in this regard, you could take that transcript and make it, a textbook or a journal entry or something. You could take, it'd be much easier to work with than trying to go back and go, oh, I need to get that transcribed, right? So, and again, adjusting the font and the spacing and the margins, the reading flow, and other things that, you may like. Again, I did it again. I'm trying very hard to reduce that and I'm not doing very well. But all those fillers, trying to reduce those in the written form, because again, you're dealing with two forms of language. I used to teach ESL and EFL in my previous career. And I would often tell my students, you're learning two languages. There's the formal written form of English, and then there's the informal spoken form of English. And they don't necessarily translate well one way or the other, right? So depending on who we're working with, we may need to help them understand, yeah, the transcript needs to be a more formal document. It should be something that's serving as a reading tool, not just a, record of what was said. So, and again, that's a stylistic preference in many respects. So that it's something where you can take a lot of, guidance and direction and just say, hey, this is how we need this to run. And then, of course, if in your transcript, for sure, really recommend you add the web link to whatever multimedia file that connects to, unless, even a podcast. But that way, if there are images and things like that, that they can also reference, it's pretty helpful and important. All right. So some other thoughts about captioning in particular. And some of these are just kind of like, yeah, duh, but sometimes we forget. I know when I'm helping student accessibility services with the course reviews, and we're trying to figure out, for example, we come across a link in a web course that has, it's to like NBC, for example, a news media link, and we'll check it out and click the CC button, and the CC button doesn't work. There are no captions. There are no, there's nothing there. And, the button might be there, but it doesn't function. So that may seem kind of dumb, but we need to verify that those things work when we're trying to figure out, is this accessible or appropriate or not? And then if you have developed refined captions, make sure that you remove the automatic ones. It's really frustrating to me when I'm, even in my course reviews, when I trying to review and I go, okay, is this video properly captioned or not? And it will almost always default to the automatic captions, and unless they are removed. And so I'd have to go into the little gear button to say, all right, how many different languages or versions of captioning do I have here? Is there an apparent human reviewed caption opportunity that is just not immediately appearing? And so it's that extra step that we really don't want to have our students have to deal with. If you are doing your own captioning, editing, verification, making sure that the synchronization is appropriate is also important. That's something we come across occasionally, are videos that actually have proper captioning, but the timing is off. And so we have to send those off very often. And make sure that you have no more than 2 lines of captions. 1 is okay, 2 is fine, 3 is too many. Your brain just can't handle that much information and process it. So again, it's great practice to just go through and figure out, okay, just getting those 2 lines and making sure that that's clean and easy to read. And then, of course, verifying for proper grammar, spelling, punctuation, the speaker, and sound identification as needed. All right, here's a little quiz. And again, I'll have to have somebody's help. Either you turn on your mic or put something in the chat, but I've got 2 images. There's something wrong with the one on the left, and the one on the right with the thumbs up is the better, right? So not so helpful to more helpful. So what's wrong though with that first one? Anybody know? So we've got a play window, and then we've got a downloadable link below it. I blotted out the actual address name, but you can see it says point or dot VTT with a download option.
Yeah, so in the chat, it says unfriendly friendly text for the transcript and not an SRT file.
Okay, we're getting close, but that's not it. Even an SRT file would not be appropriate in this case. You can see the correct one. What does it say? Transcript. Is a VTT file a transcript?
Yeah, so another participant just said includes .vtt in the file name.
Okay, well, and I guess maybe that begs the question, and I didn't really get into this, but I don't want to assume everybody knows everything, which we're all learning, right? So one person mentioned SRT, right? I have on the screen VTT. These are caption files. And this is a little screenshot from web courses, right? And their multimedia display window, media comment. I haven't found out what the official name is for the play window that they use in Canvas, but I'll call it a media comment. A VTT file is really not openable except for like in Notepad or some kind of text editor file. You think your students are going to want to deal with that? I don't think so. It's not appropriate. It's not formatted for reading like a transcript. It is formatted with the timing, with other measures of code to function as a caption file. So please do not share with your students the SRT or the VTT file because they can't really do anything with it anyway. Now, technically, it should be uploaded within your video and being able to be selected as we have in the thumbs up version, right? You can see captions, and then we can select English, and we could activate those captions. But, and again, this is a very short little thing here, right? 1 minute and 12 seconds. But if it was an hour and 12 minutes, I know personally, I would love to have a transcript that I could scan over, right? That is simply text and just something I can reference and search and work with in a very different way than I would with a caption file. Okay, all right, and I'm starting to run out of time here, so let's go. And I'll just mention same problem here. The problem was the instructor labeled their funky transcript, and we had to reformat it a little bit so it was readable. I even forget what an ODT file is. That's I'm blanking at the moment, but regardless, they had put that it was captioning and it wasn't. It was a transcript. And so we went through, we modified it, and we got the appropriate situation so that the students could have a usable tool. So again, just a friendly tip, if you're going to put a transcript at the bottom of your video or multimedia, make sure it's genuinely a transcript. You do not need to be sharing captioning files with your students. Okay, so wrapping up here. So when you have multimedia content that needs deaf, hard of hearing support, it is our job to make sure it is ADA compliant. And again, these AI tools, they keep improving and making obtaining compliance faster and easier. But unfortunately, and I predict for the foreseeable future, it is never an instant or complete solution without authentic human review. Pay attention to style guides, updates, and tips, right, to streamline your process. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. And most of all, it is a challenge. It is not necessarily easy, but I really encourage you when you do finish that type of a project to please take a moment and celebrate and give yourself a pat on the back or your team a pat on the back, because it's such an awesome thing that you're delivering to your students and possibly your colleagues, to deliver an authentic quality product that's been personally reviewed and approved by you, right? We want to have that other AI, right, approved interpretation so that we do finish with a ADA compliant DHH supported gem, right? All right, so let's go a little bit more. Oh, okay. I always think I have more time than I do, but I'm just going to note here. And again, when you get the slides, I will encourage you to click the Topcast that I have underscore here, and that'll take you to our Topcast webpage. My team does a lot of work on the proactive side. So reactive being what I do with student accessibility services, right? We're trying to turn things around just in time. And then we do our best to support the captions and the transcripts for Topcast episodes on a proactive basis, right? We're trying to get ahead of it, trying to be, UDL focused and, keeping that universal design compliance ahead of us as well. So all of this effort, it goes in so many wonderful directions. So it's always a great thing. And there's just a little summary of the process we go through. We actually do use a professional vendor. And so we ship off the MP3 to them, and then we take it from there. In fact, we're working on one today. As I speak, we're working on our latest Topcast episode. And so we get that transcription, and then my student team, they will go through using a reference of show notes to compare and contrast, make sure we've got the spelling right and everything else, get into the formatting a little bit. And then I will do, and we're on the third one there, I'll do the final review and making sure that the formatting and everything is consistent and appropriate, and making sure that it's just all in good shape. And then we'll send that off as a PDF so they can post that on the website. And then I'll take that same document and I will modify it to be able to be uploaded on YouTube as a TXT file. And so you'll notice, if you can, I know you have to probably squint or zoom in, but I have removed most of the names. I have first mention, and then after that, it's just little tick marks. And I go through and make sure, everything's pretty much clumped together, because it's getting ready to be uploaded to a machine, right? YouTube. And so then we have YouTube upload it, and we go through and we check the synchronization and make sure the timing's good. And then once we are happy with it, we will download from YouTube that converted TXT file to a BTT or SRT file and put that in our archives so that we have it. And so it's the same document, but it's gone through all these different, editing stages and transformation, so it serves the appropriate purpose. And if you have any questions or thoughts on that and you'd like to chat more, I'd be very happy to talk with you later. All right. Now, I would love to know what you're up to in your world with these many, many issues. Now, I have a document. It's already pretty largely filled out, and you're welcome to add some other questions. I had a couple of questions I put in there that were not trying to get another version open so I can see what
And
you're up
Karen,
to.
you may need to request access to it.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can find it here. I'm going to escape out of, there we go. That way, hopefully. Yes, I meant to double check that. All right. And if I can find chat, I will. All right, are you able to get in now?
Yep, we're in.
Fantastic.
Thank you,
Okay,
thank you.
absolutely.
Oh, actually, I spoke too soon. We're in, but we can't edit.
Oh, okay. Let me fix that. Let me just fix. There we go.
There we go. That should get it.
Yep, that should. All right. Sorry for that
Fantastic.
delay. And you'll see a lot of the things I've already mentioned are, but plenty more have already been added. And please feel free to, I'm going to scroll down, see if anybody's got something new. And I think what I would love to know, I know we are constantly trying to refine our processes at UCF and make things more efficient. And but again, being that this is something to be enjoyed by human eyes, I think, it just ups that level of what we have to be paying attention to. And it just takes time to do the job right. So, but I know I am beyond words grateful for the two student assistants that I have that work with me part-time to help facilitate especially our student accessibility services reviews, to help with getting that content reviewed and up to where we need it to be. And I had a couple of questions down here at the bottom. I think it's the second page. What would your faculty support needs be? I mean, do they, like, I really enjoyed the previous session talking about the micro training. And I know several people I think had mentioned about accessibility. Are your faculty familiar with these types of, constructs of what they need to be considering for captioning and transcripts and just paying attention to their students' needs in a general sense, right? Because even if you don't have a student enrolled in your course that has a deaf, hard of hearing need, and I don't have this stat in my slides, but and I believe it's Ofcom, which is a British site, they did some research and found 80% of people who use captions don't have a hard of hearing need. They just might be in the airport or whatever, right? So, or in a busy restaurant or bar, and they'd like to be able to read what is going on because it's too noisy around them to hear. That's a very common reason. And a lot of us get stuck on the financial side because we're like, well, we need some help to get part of this paid for in some way, shape, or form, whether it's hiring somebody or paying for a professional service. So I think we're always looking for creative ways that we can get that financial support, because I think there's still a lot of perception of, oh, well, AI can take care of it. And it's like, well, not entirely. And so I think that message we need to be continuing to work through. All right. So anybody have any thoughts, comments? I don't really see a whole lot of activity, and maybe it's just because they didn't get in. I think it's only a few of us in there, but we'll go back to the slides here real quick. Because I think I have to finish in a few moments, right? So any other Q&A, I welcome. And at least for the moment, I will put up one of my favorite quotes. I actually have it in my signature usually, because I just think Steve's got this right on, that the one argument for accessibility that doesn't get made nearly often enough is how extraordinarily better it makes some people's lives. How many opportunities do we have to dramatically improve people's lives just by doing our job a little better? That's always the challenge, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And Karen, we have a question in the chat actually from Doug.
Okay.
He asks, do you generate corrected transcripts for other people's YouTube videos that an instructor links to that may not have accurate captions? And I think that's a really good question that we get asked a lot.
Okay, so I think if I understand it right, you're basically saying, do we go in and correct a instructor's less than stellar captions? Is that what the question was?
I believe so, but if Doug, if you want to
Yeah, if you want to come
speak
on
up, you're more than welcome to
mic.
unmute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just talking about if an instructor links to someone else's video that they didn't create, but it turns out that video doesn't have totally accurate captions.
Yeah, we actually, being UCF, and we're so huge and we've got so many faculty and they love YouTube. So we're using they use these third-party YouTube videos. I think that would be related to what you're asking. And we actually use a tool from the University of Washington called Able Player, and now it's called actually something else, the Accessible Video Embedder tool, I believe it is, AVE. And what this does is it puts an overlay of a caption file over the YouTube video. Now, this tool only works in Canvas, to my knowledge. I'm not aware if it works in other LMSs, but I do know for sure it works in Canvas. And that is one way we address that, especially for the student accessibility related students. And so it's a wonderful tool, and I will have to include that in my next presentation, talk about ways that we do support and remediate. But that I would, let's see here. I will see if I can get to that. I'll add it to the Q&A. I think that's great. And and if you wouldn't mind, Doug, if you are able to get to the document and put that in there, and I'll put that answer. I'll put a link to Able Player on the document. Great question. Any other ones? Well, I think we're at time. Am I right?
We are just now at time. It is 2:45.
Okay, so there are my resources. And again, that's if you want to be able to try to get the slides, and I'll double check and make sure. Has anybody tried to open the slides? Because I believe I did make those available, but if not, let me know and I will update that for sure.
Yep, we were able to get the
Thank you
slides
so
and they are
much.
available.
Yeah, so wonderful. Okay, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of TOPkit.
Yeah, so thanks for
Yes.
coming in, Cheryl, from Cheryl, that says, thank you for all your hard work and for sharing all these resources, Karen, and thank you, and kudos for coming in as well. So thank you so much for your awesome presentation and all these tremendous resources, Karen, truly.
In the
chat,
there's a huge amount. Yes.
I'm sharing meaningful_success, and that is for our TOPkit 2024 treasure hunt. So if you are playing the treasure hunt, and I encourage you to do so, go ahead and enter that code in for the 2 o'clock session. Another huge round of applause for Karen for presenting all of her wealth of knowledge with us.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, now we are going into about a 13-minute break. And Flo, if you could message me directly on email, I would be happy to help you with that one. We're going to go into about a 13-minute break. If you would like to switch rooms, go into the Socio app. You have 3 to choose for, 3 concurrent sessions to choose for in the next hour. And if you have any other questions for me, you can ask them now. Otherwise, we're going to start to usher in the next presenter. So thank you so much again for joining us. And actually, Karen, I hate to put you on the spot one more time, but actually Sue had an emergency and I'm not sure if she's going to be able to be back. The only challenge with that is, tell you what,
Which
I am presenting in a different room the next hour. So do you think
so
that
if
you
I
would be
stay
able
in
to?
this room,
Mhm. You think you'd
okay,
be able
and I'm
to stay in
trying to
here?
figure out how to get out of presenter mode. I don't know. Can you,
Oh yeah.
I'm
Let me
like
see if I
trying to
can
find
help.
my Zoom stuff. Let's see if that'll, there we, well, kind of. All right.
Okay, I think, well, your screen is still sharing, but you are out
All
of
right.
presenter
I
mode
am
in.
trying to. That's so weird. Oh, there it is. Okay. It's hiding behind everything. All right. Stop share. Okay. There we go.
So yes. So if I have your, oh wait, we are in this room. Is that right, Rebecca? Oh, never mind. Okay, actually, never mind, Karen. Sorry. What's
You're in
the
it.
same
And
room?
I
Well, I
And
mean,
it
that's what I'm
be.
hoping to be is
it looks
backup if
like
you need it. So
the session that was in the room that I host is canceled. It has the red line through it.
Yep, that was the one that got moved to Friday.
Fabulous. So
Okay, well, awesome presentation, Karen. I do hope that somebody adds to that dynamic living document. Let me make you co-host, Rebecca. Or
I
actually, I'm just
am
going to make you
back.
host. Susie, you're back. How is Prancer?
You got a
Oh
little,
my goodness.
but he'll be
oh,
okay.
buddy.
I'm so glad he's okay, Sue.
I'm
He's
so
probably
glad
going to be
he's
sleepy
okay.
now
Oh,
from the Benadryl.
always like a heart attack.
Sue, are you having a day?
I was fine till 2 o'clock.
Did you have an entire day at 2 o'clock?
I had a whole day at 2 o'clock.
We do not play